Thomas Markle Jr, thank you so much for joining me. It's a pleasure to have you on. How are you and how have you been during these times?
Good. I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to be on Lloyd Beck's Check It TV.
No
Uh,
worries, no worries.
Lloyd has agreed to leave me in his will for doing this for him.
100%.
So
You probably won't get anything though. I
hey, I'll
don't
take
have anything.
you know
What's that? Your take what, sorry?
I'll take anything I can get at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah. Most probably.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
doing well. Enjoying being back in Southern California, my old neighborhood.
Mm,
Uh, like the majority of my growing up in my later and early teen years were here.
yeah.
Uh, so I just got a lot of history here, a lot of great friends. So just enjoying the awesome Southern California weather as well.
Wow, wow. Yeah, is it going well down there? I mean, what is the is it as it stays sunny?
Yeah, it's just been spectacular. I mean, that's what the draw for Southern California is, and it always has been,
Mm,
is the weather, the people, the you know, it's not nice everywhere, but for the majority, it's a great place to be.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Cool. How have you been recovering since Celebrity Big Brother? I mean, that was your most recent thing that you've did. How's things been since then? What have you been up to?
Celebrity Big Brother was like, that was probably the best thing I ever did in my life. I had so much fun. It was a little nerve wracking at first getting in and not knowing anybody, not knowing any of the celebrities in Australia, but it took me a couple of days to be comfortable enough to talk and just work my way into the crowd, and it worked
Mm,
out well because everybody on the show, um, they mean a lot to me. They're really good, down to earth people. You don't know any
mm.
time with them, and
Yeah.
getting that opportunity was incredible.
Did you?
So
No, yeah, yeah,
just there was no recovering from it. I think it's just you know one of the things that I still struggle with today is the fact that the time that the whole world was having at the time that we went into the show, it was really amazing and lucky that I even got to Australia during the COVID thing.
mm,
Uh,
mm.
let alone, so after my quarantine, I had probably, I don't know, 2 days maybe to run around Sydney and check things out, but everything was
Yeah,
closed. And so that was a little rough. And then it got worse by the time we got out of the Big Brother hotel. So nothing had opened up, and it actually intensified to where I would have to quarantine even leaving Sydney. So
mm.
uh, that's the one thing I missed the most, because I really wanted to spend about 6 months and see a lot down there.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
hopefully now, I mean, we don't know exactly what's happening in the world. I mean, it's really, really disturbing that we have to deal with what we're dealing with in the Ukraine right now. I mean, it's
mm,
like,
mm.
excuse my French, but it's a world prick dictator.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that
100%.
needs to just not be here anymore, because what he's doing to people, innocent women and children, is just horrific. I mean, I just never thought that I'd actually ever see this again
Mm.
on drastic level. So, I would love to get down to Australia, sometime. We just don't know what's going to happen.
Mm, mm. With the situation over in Russia, do you think that they could be like? Do you think they could take him down a lot more quicker than what they're doing? If you're talking about Putin,
Well, hopefully, I mean, with everything with the UE, with the EU, and all the NATO allies and us included, I mean, it's a sketchy situation, but we can't continue to sit here and watch these events unfold, like the bombing of women's centers and women and children's centers and hospitals,
mm,
and civilians who are trying to leave get bombarded. I mean, what kind of prick does that? I
mm,
guess,
mm.
I know what his name is,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it's just it's just it just sickens my stomach every single day. I mean, I just wish there was something I could do on a personal level.
Mm,
Uh,
mm.
you know, it's just awful.
What's your thoughts of them because it's all about distractions, really, with the news and media as well. What's your thoughts of them like suddenly dropping COVID at the moment? Because we don't hear much of that now, do we? Really, like COVID cases, there's nothing now. It's literally just all Ukraine and the war. What's your thoughts on that sort of situation? Like, I know
Oh,
you don't like the media anyway, really.
I
Yeah,
believe that COVID should take a backseat right now, although it's nothing to forget. It is still present and it's still out there, so it is a factor. But above the Ukraine, I don't think it should be COVID's not a priority right now. Getting those people to safety and getting at least let the people leave that they want to leave. Don't mine the roads. Don't do crap like that. Don't shell convoys trying to leave the Ukraine so they don't die. I mean, it's awful. I mean, they're in freezing cold conditions. They have no food and no water for several days now. And it's just I'm sorry to say, but if the world continues to watch these humanitarian videos and the pain and the suffering, we're not going to stand for it much longer. And I really hope that the US gets directly involved and put an end to this. Let alone that, if that doesn't happen, I think being that all Russian civilians are cut off from what's actually happening, which is, I mean, that's dictator shit that's going on. They have no idea what their fearless dumbass leader is doing to their country, let alone, the innocent Ukrainians. It's just, oh man.
It's just trying times, isn't it? It's trying times we're all living in. It's crazy. I mean, there's a lot more. I feel like there's a lot more worse to come for some reason. Do you know what I mean? It's just the way the world goes, isn't it?
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Like at some point, the whole entire world is going to get completely disturbed, which they already are over this whole thing. We can't watch this much longer. And, I would venture to say that the U.S. is already totally involved in this. And I like we are, because I mean, God forbid this maniac madman, uses his last Trump card. And I do say Trump because I think they're, whatever. I'm not going to get too political there, but I think they both deserve a jail cell together somewhere, so they can keep each other company.
Yeah,
Putin. But
you managed to get Trump out just in time, I think.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Hopefully he'll get brought up on the January 6th charges, and they can both spend time in Guantanamo Bay together for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
yeah, or that's what they're going to make us believe that they're doing. So yeah.
Well, and on the other flip side of that coin, I think what I was trying to say earlier was, like, the Russian people. I mean, they have relatives in the Ukraine, and they have no idea what's happening to them. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not, a million. There's so many people that are related. They have no idea what's happening to their own people. So, if all else fails, hopefully the Russian people will remove Putin.
Definitely.
I think somebody, I think I heard somewhere, I read a few articles here that there's already been massive prices put on his head. So, maybe somebody will take advantage of that.
Definitely.
The sad part about it is, if he's out of the picture, this would all end immediately. It's this one guy doing this. And if he were out of the picture, this would not be happening.
Yeah, 100% agree with you with that. Definitely. If you don't mind talking about Big Brother, though, changing subject a little bit, or maybe we can go into Ukraine a bit later as well. But yeah, what made you decide to make an appearance on Big Brother? What sort of started it for you?
Well, I've been an acquaintance of Max Markson, who's in Sydney, Australia.
Yeah, he's your agent as well at the moment, isn't he? Yeah.
He became my agent when he signed me on the show.
Okay.
But I've known him for a couple 3 years prior to that. And we would keep in touch, and he just took a general interest in me, and we remained friends. And then one day I'd always, talk to him, jokingly, Max, when are you going to get me down to Australia? You got to get me down there. Come on. I had just come back from Southern California, I was in Albuquerque, hanging out with my mother for the COVID. And so I was out there for a couple of years, but I came out to Southern California for a visit, went up to Santa Barbara, and just, because I missed it so much. And I was actually going to take a job there in Santa Barbara, but I decided not, because it was Meghan's neighborhood and I didn't want to be labeled as a, stalker or whatever, because the media just runs with that stuff.
Yeah.
So I went back to Albuquerque, and I was walking in the front gate of my house, and Max calls me, and he says, he goes, "What's going on, Tom?" And I said, "Oh, nothing, just, making some changes in my life. Gonna probably relocate out to LA one of these days." And he goes, "Oh, for what?" And I said, "Well, I was going to take a really good job. I got an amazing job offer out there." And he goes, "Well, how much do you make?" And I go, "I don't know, 7,500 grand a year when I work,
Well,
and so he says, he goes, "You remember how you've been asking to come to Australia?" He goes, "Well, you're coming."
Well,
and I was just like, wow. I mean, that was incredible. So I was really happy about that. The time from when I got that news to everything I had to do to get to Australia was a full-time job in itself.
Wow.
I mean,
I bet you had to go through so much processing.
Yeah, I mean, let alone like with all the COVID going on, I had to do background checks for every state I've ever lived. I had to do an FBI check. I had to go get fingerprinted. I had to go do this. They had checked everything on my health, every STD, every cancer, everything. It was really stressful, and it took a long time to do it, but it was worth it. So that's what got me down on Big Brother VIP was Max Markson. He called me up and put me up for the show, and I agreed.
Yeah. I bet you're glad when not much came up with the checkups. Though I bet you're quite proud when you didn't see much, or have you had a few run-ins with the police? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think everybody's had a few run-ins with the police, but I've never been convicted of anything. I've never done anything, serious, and I record. I've been arrested a couple of times for failure to pay tickets for racing my cars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, overall, the one thing I did sweat, because I don't really ever go to the doctor unless I'm dying. The one thing I was like all the blood tests and everything, so I'm sitting there like, I keep turning the hourglass over, wasting time, just God, very stressful. And when the nurse called me, and, I was really nervous about, the results, and she called me and I go, so what's going on? And she says, "Well, it's all looking really good. Everything checked out. You're healthy as a horse." And I go, "Are you sure you got the right blood?"
Yeah. Do you get quite paranoid about your health then, or was it just like at the time the question that you asked?
No, I've always been really healthy. I mean, I've had some health hiccups here and there, but nothing ever that, nothing.
Well, I'm glad you're doing well. It's good to know that you're healthy and all good. So yeah, definitely. So going back to Celebrity Big Brother, though, I mean, it wasn't just Big Brother; like it was Big Brother VIP. How did it feel to know you have that label on you, like to be classed as VIP alongside the rest of the members that went?
Well, yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because there was an episode, a segment of an episode that came up about that. When we got locked out of the hotel for emergency reasons or whatever, and we were evacuated, we had to come up, for us to be able to, and we all slept outside. It was the funniest episode, anyway. When my snoring was broadcast all over Sydney, so
yeah.
But you had to, in order to be admitted back into the VIP hotel, you had to come up with a substantial reason why you are labeled as a VIP. And if you got it wrong, you didn't go back in for several more hours. But so the first time I got it wrong, I said, because I'm Meghan Markle's brother or something like that. My sister's famous. That the wrong answer. So it was all about
interesting.
It was all about me. And so I thought about it for a few more minutes because I had time to think because I got booted back outside. I wasn't allowed back in yet. And so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I go, well, then I just came up with like, I'm the only one in the world who will ever be Meghan Markle's big brother. And, she's my little sister. So, and they had to accept it because that's, it's valid. So,
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
I almost forgot to say we got royalty in the house, people. This is Meghan Markle's big brother, so Thomas Markle Jr. Why the junior if you're the big brother? But we can go into that in the other subjects.
I'm the junior of my father. My father is Thomas Markle Sr. So
yeah,
Thomas Markle Jr. sounds formal, I suppose. But being invited to be in a house with VIPs with Caitlyn Jenner and Omarosa, and getting to know all the VIPs and what they're VIPs for in Australia, that was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Did you like, obviously you got to know what their careers are sort of inside the Big Brother house, but did you sort of know any of the names as you first walked in? Did you sort of know anyone that was really there? Was you sort of into the celebrity scene, or was it just all like, were they all random people to you? Because like some people have big knowledge on celebrities before you sort of
didn't know of anybody because Australia doesn't have the same airing as the US and vice versa. And we don't get rugby on TV. We don't get AFL on TV. We get the NFL on TV here. So I didn't know Dane. I didn't know what he was famous for. I didn't know Imogen. I didn't know what she was famous for. Jessica, same thing, and some of the programs we have down there we don't get up here as well. So yeah.
Did you know Caitlyn before you went in? Because like she's quite a big A-lister, isn't she? So
yeah, the whole world Caitlyn. So
yeah. Well, I'm glad you knew at least one of them. So yeah.
Watching her, like when I was eating my breakfast cereal in the morning when I was a little kid, watching her on my Wheaties box, my Wheaties cereal, as Bruce, it was interesting. I mean, just getting to know her and spending time getting to know her and hearing her story. And I have a lot of respect for that woman. She's pretty incredible.
Definitely. What was it like to, I'm not sure if you're sort of a family person or not, like, with your dad, but what was it like to sort of be away from your family for that period of time? Like, did you find it a challenge, or was it sort of quite normal to you? How was you feeling about that?
Well, I believe, as everybody knows, my family has been spread out all over the United States for the lives. Just happened to work out that way, but we all keep in touch. One thing that really came to light was the fact that I've grown more closer to my father than I think I've ever been in my entire life during the last 2 years.
Okay, nice to hear. It's good.
Yeah, and so that really meant a lot to me because my father was always there for me growing up, even though my mother and father were divorced. He was he spent as much time with us kids as he could with his busy schedule in the studios. I mean, when I was a child in Chicago, he worked at a company called WTTW, which is public broadcasting service. It's like PBS.
Okay.
And I'm sure everybody knows that show Sesame Street.
Okay, yeah, I think I've heard of it. Yeah, part of it.
Yeah, it's more of my era.
I'm sure I would have seen it. But
yeah, well, it's a very popular kids show that's still airing today. So but that set was in the same studios where my father worked, so as a child I got to play on that set. It was a lot of fun. But so my dad and I have really just mended our relationship, very strong, a lot stronger than it's ever been in my life for the last 3 years now.
Wow.
So being away from him, that was hard. And what he did on the show, Big Brother had arranged to coordinate a special video from the cast's family members. Got to sit and watch, and that was very moving. I mean, I broke down in tears because what it took for my father to make that video it's not in his character, it's not in his nature. So that was a really big deal, and it really just emotionally it just really just pulled my heartstrings. It was amazing.
So you're going to be seeing your father a lot more now, like because of that connection that's grown as well.
Well, yeah, when I came back in September from Australia, the first place I went was down to Baja to visit my father.
Mm.
And then I ended up renting a little place on the beach a few doors down from him, which I still have. So yeah, so
Yeah.
it's nice that I can be close to him because I'm probably the only one in the family who can at this point.
Mm.
And so I like being close to him. Even in Los Angeles, I'm still a couple hours away.
Mm.
So
Mm.
yeah.
Wow. How do you feel about the questions Whipper and Fitzy asked you, the presenters, because they were quite, serious? Like, I think I personally found it a bit harsh for them to put you on the spot like that, because it was quite an awkward moment from what I could see on TV. How did you feel at the time?
You're not alone in your thinking there. Everybody in the house felt exactly the same way. That particular, it wasn't a challenge, but that particular day, that was meant for that radio interview. Everybody was watching from the couch while everybody went and did a separate interview.
Mm.
And the state of mind that I've been in for the last prior years before that, it was a really, really good opportunity for me to just let myself and everybody else know that it's just never too late. I mean, be the bigger person and just, accept your wrongdoings and just move on. Tomorrow's a new day.
Mm.
Never too late to say you're sorry. It's never too late to start over. Tomorrow, like I said, it was the right thing to do. And I got my point across and I did it well.
Definitely. So it was sort of like a task and instruction from Big Brother as well, wasn't it, for each guest to do something similar? Do you think you would have wrote that letter in the future anyway? Was that sort of in your mind to sort of plan that and send that out in the first place? Would you have done that? Yeah.
I'm not sure if I would have done it in the future, because it would have had to been completed under different contexts, and I wouldn't want to go there and throw another letter in a tabloid magazine, because the first one was done out of haste and inexperience and frustration, as I explained on the show as well. But I would have done, what I was trying to do on Big Brother was open up doors for people to actually see that, to where, even if Meghan and Harry were watching, then it would be good to see that, to see what, that, I know for a fact that Meghan knows that I'm not a bad guy. I never have been. She does. So it's still a big mystery that she has to figure out, or whatever she does. I mean, she's my sister and I'll always love her no matter what. I don't always agree with some of the things that she does or what her PR people do, but it's she'll figure it out someday,
Yeah, of course. Do you think your family, changing the subject a little bit and talking of media, do you think your family have been mistreated by the media? Like even Meghan and Harry, like, do you think they've been mistreated as well? Or do you think it's mainly sort of you and your dad? Yeah.
Well, one thing everybody needs to know about, sorry, the printer's going off, but
that's
one
right.
thing that everybody needs to know about is about the press and the media. And I mean, not necessarily the press, because or live video is completely different than doing an interview or doing something that could be chopped up and sold to the highest bidder, and then it's sold 10 times more. So what you say in that interview gets sold one time to somebody, and then it's up for grabs once it's online. So everybody can sit, pick and choose and change it around and revamp it, put it out there years later. So it's a huge learning experience to get that done right the first time. So as far as your question, being mistreated in the media, yeah, it's rough, because when all this came about, nobody knew how to deal with this, including myself. So it's been a long learning experience, but it's all right.
Yeah, of course. And continuing on a bit more about your family and your sister, Meghan, if you don't mind continuing the subject, do you have any untold stories that you haven't shared, like with her before? Is there anything that you'd like to share with us on Check It TV?
Yeah, it's so hard to think of any untold stories. I mean, there's so many out there that.
Yeah, I'm sure you must have spoken about it so much by now. To be fair,
I would probably just be repeating myself. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really too many untold stories, except for a really happy childhood she had.
Mm.
Was given everything she ever wanted. She never asked for anything. We had a great time together. One thing about Meghan or Doria's side of the family is that was a tight family also, still is.
Mm.
We did get, you know, we had some amazing Thanksgivings and Christmases, birthdays, holidays, so we got together everywhere, and it made for a really good get together. So she did. The other side of the family is very open armed and welcoming and hospitable. And so, or I can say about that.
Yeah. I mean, you said you shared so many, but what story do you enjoy sharing that you have already shared, I guess, to put it into more perspective for my listeners that may not have heard it yet?
Well, just her happy childhood and the fact that we were all together. And I know that's a little controversial because, she claimed that she had grown up as an orphan, but everybody specifically now knows that that's not true. Who's that guy on Big Brother? Huh?
Yeah. This is interesting.
But I attended a lot of her school plays when she was very young, up until she was a teenager. And I think probably some of the best times that we really spent together was the last couple of years of my grandmother's life. My dad made it an adamant point about us getting together and spending a day on the weekend every week with my grandmother. Before she passed of dementia in 2011. So, but Meghan and my father and myself, it was the entire afternoon, and then we'd go out to eat after, and it wasn't Sizzler, by the way.
Sizzler? What do you mean by Sizzler?
Well, yeah, we ate at so many different places, we just.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Sizzler was like the running joke about how, we had to rub our nickels together to eat. So, but yeah, that's another, whatever.
Cool.
But anyway, the last couple of years were very tight knit, a lot of good quality time together.
Yeah. Does, like during the times now with what's going on, does it make your life hard being part of the royal family, having the same name? Does it sort of make it hard today, like in today's world, for you personally? Or
no,
I
don't hard. It's just the one thing I try to avoid is being shot by paparazzi, because then I'm out of control on what they can write the story around. So I try to steer that. Other than that, it's not a big deal. I'm like I said, I'm running off into my own little other ventures right now, and making things happen just for me, just me by myself, and got a couple of really exciting projects I'm working on. So, I'm going to say, it in the beginning it was difficult, but now it's okay, because now that I've opened up a lot of doors, and a lot of people know that I'm not the crazy guy from the internet, who's just, all bad, now that everybody knows that I am a decent, warm human being, it's open doors. So giving me the ability to run off and do other projects on my own, just for myself.
Definitely. Yeah. It's good that you get involved with these podcasts as well, so you can speak out more, positively as well. So, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
One thing I would like to bring up real quick that I do want included in this podcast for sure, not to be edited out, is an idea that may help a little bit if everybody can get on board and spread the word and talk to their local merchants, and get this thing going worldwide about rounding up for the Ukraine. And what that means is a lot of stores, you'll go in and they'll ask if you want to round up to the nearest dollar and just leave your change for a good cause or charity.
Yep.
I think if we can spread the word on that, and everybody can spread the word, make it go viral, and that, whatever it is, if it's $10, that helps. If it's 10 million, that's even better. But we can get everybody on board with the roundup for Ukraine, that'd be incredible.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Businesses, major corporations, all, you know, convenience stores, everything. If we can just tell everybody.
Yeah. Have you approached anyone so far? Any companies so far who's helping you at the moment?
I'm actually working on that right now. I just did an interview yesterday with Closer magazine in the UK, and had the interview as well. I've made a few local phone calls here to some corporations, and so I'm making progress on it. So any little bit of progress helps.
Yeah, of course. Wow. Yeah, we'll get that and push that out there. What other projects are you currently working on? Is there anything else that you would like to promote?
I'm going to work on some things with my son and his business, and then a couple of production projects that I'm trying to put together. So possibly a book. So little things like that, but we'll see as time goes by when they come out.
Definitely. Is there anything else you'd like to say that you haven't covered yet? Is there anything you'd like to, you know, put out there that you are really hoping that you can put out there? I know you mentioned the Ukraine stuff, but, you know, family wise or like friendship wise, is there anything you'd like to say to anyone?
As I always say, family and friends are the most important things in your life. Keep them close to you, because, you know, you don't find friends that you can have for the rest of your life very often that mean that much, and you only have one family, especially in times like this that we're going through right now, the entire world. You know, just hug the ones that are closest to you and love them, and never let them go, and pray for peace, and hopefully this whole mess will just go away, and save those poor Ukrainian people. You know, I mean, God awful. So that should be an example of how you really need to be, and any charity you can give. I mean, just be kind to everybody. You know, the world needs people like that.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Thomas, for joining me. How can everyone find you on social media and follow you? Where can people stay in touch with you if they?
I have the real Thomas Markle Jr. on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I just I've had a Facebook account for the longest time, and I've always had it set on private. I never even knew it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So you can find me Tom Markle on Facebook, and you'll see my picture there with what did I put on there? With a link to my Instagram page. And you know, I'm not very tech savvy, and I'm really still getting used to the social media stuff. But I just started a Twitter page, real Thomas Markle Jr. And so far I have one follower on Twitter.
Amazing. Don't worry, I'll give you a follow. yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to a couple of people this afternoon over here on how to get that thing really rolling, and try and promote Roundup for the Ukraine as well. So
nice. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Honestly, it really means a lot. I'm glad we got talking, and I'm glad we got this confirmed. If you ever want to come on again for another conversation, you're more than welcome to as well, and hopefully we can stay in touch.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's definitely in the cards. Let's anything that we need to get out there, let's work together, and I'd be more than happy to come on and do it again as this whole thing unfolds. So, but anyway, I appreciate your time, and thanks for having me.